New week. This is my only live stream of the day. I usually do a Monday morning. Like I said, if you would have been paying attention this past weekend, I got food poisoning my Thursday night. So it would have been your Thursday morning. So that's why I haven't, you really didn't see too much of me this past weekend online just because, I don't know if you've ever had food poisoning. It's not fun. I've had it twice before. This wasn't as bad as the first time. But I feel like I need to check in, talk a little bit about what happened this past weekend, talk about our wins, talk about our losses, talk about what lies ahead. We had another, I mean, substantial weekend. We hit on the week started on the Dana White Contender Series. I hit a bunch of live betting. The Discordians know what we hit there, like a plus 800, plus 450. So we hit on the co-main and the main. We hit Method of Victory. So we start off the week well. The bets we missed were our long parlay. I kind of pieced it together for you guys on the live stream just because I wasn't feeling well all week. So I kind of rushed it. I gave you guys the long parlay this Saturday. We missed on two. Valet, she lost the decision, and Emiliano Moreno lost. But that was a ticket that I said don't put too much credence in. That was a ticket that I didn't, I told you with the long parlays, put $10 on it, $25. Nothing too heavy. The pick that I'm most proud of is the one that I gave you guys earlier in the week. It was my upset of the week. It was Anthony Cuba. The odds makers last Monday started off Cuba at a $2.35 dog. And I told you guys to bet the house on it. I bet the house on it. And he won. He did exactly what I thought he was going to do. I feel like the odds makers definitely got it wrong. They don't always get it right. When you watch as much boxing as we watch, every now and then, I wish it was the case, obviously, every week. But every now and then, we could see a matchup, and then we could see the odds, and we could be like, you know what? They got this wrong. They definitely got that one wrong. And I went, I rarely never put as much money as I did on Cuba. But, I'm grateful I did because he looked amazing. He's exactly who I thought he was. 22 years old. The kid's cardio's through the roof. He's unorthodox. Good body puncher. Good camp. His opponent was tough. It was a fun matchup. It was a fun fight. Cuba really started turning it on third, fourth round if you watch the fight. So he's a fun little prospect. I'm actually going to bring him on the show. He's a young fighter I've been in contact with for a few years. So he's going to come on the live stream. I'm going to see if I get him on this week. So I'll let you guys know when Anthony books in. We hit heavy on that. Also, our Method of Victory lock was McComb by decision. So we got Cuba at plus 235. McComb by decision, I got him at plus 155. So 55% return. We hit on that pick, which was good. And then we hit on Stanionis money line, but missed out. I took Stanionis by stoppage. He won literally every exchange of the fight. He just won unanimous. So that's another one that didn't go our way in terms of Method of Victory. Now, because I was under the weather, I haven't even opened the Discord the last 2 days. But if you follow my Instagram, you would have seen where I hit. I hit a 14-1 on the UFC. So the UFC was in Perth yesterday. And I hit a 6-leg 14-1. A Method of Victory sort of mixed with some money line. So that was a huge victory for me. And I didn't post those picks in the Discord because, like I said, man, I don't want to say I was bedridden, but man, the food poisoning really took it out of me. Like I'm not 100% right now. So I'm doing my best to reconnect with you guys. I usually go live twice a day. And like I said, I'm just recovering. I'm probably like 70% right now. The last live stream I did was Saturday. And I thought I was 100%, but I wasn't. Johnny, who you got, Glacken or Doherty? So that's the fight that's coming up, guys. And if we're going to turn the page, we can start talking about this right now. So I'll bring up the options I have. I know UMZ is from, I think you're a Kiwi. You're from New Zealand. So you're probably looking at similar books to me. We got Regan Glacken. He's $1.83. Louis O'Doherty. I have to do tape on it. The odds right now, I'm not just going to pick a winner. I want to do tape, and I'll let you know. But the odds right now kind of have it as a 50-50. Also, I've already done my tape on Willie Hutchinson versus Mark Jeffers. That Stats Don't Lie video, if you guys haven't watched it, It's on my channel right now. Go under the fight prediction playlist. I give you my prediction. I think Hutchinson should handle Jeffers pretty well. And then our guy, another friend of the channel, another fighter I know, Nathaniel Collins is fighting Cristobal Lorente. Collins undefeated. Lorente has a nice little record. And I'm gonna do my due diligence and do tape there too. So I'll do an upload this week. You know what? I'll do Nathaniel Collins next. I'll do the Nathaniel Collins upload. That'll happen tonight. Brandon Glanton is fighting in Africa Wednesday as well. So Brandon Glanton fighting this Wednesday in Africa on this card that's on DAZN. We'll see if we get options to pick on it. I don't know if Bet365 is even going to allow us to bet on it. Maybe. There's also a really exciting prospect on that undercard. Jurly Vargas, if you guys know who that is. He fights a money team guy, you know, cornrows, big puncher, really small guy. Kind of looks like optically. He's the guy that kind of optically looks like Tank Davis. You know, built, muscular, short, cornrows, this sort of dude. But he's fighting in Africa as well. So that's this Wednesday. UMG says, also UFC main event, do you think Pereira has a chance for the upset? I don't know, man. I just think a guy like Alex Pereira, who has such a hole in his game, you know, it's tough to bet against. You know, it's a rematch. We saw what happened in the first fight. You know, take Pereira down. You know what I'm saying? Feint play. You don't want to stand up with him too long. When you have a guy who has that big of a hole in his game in terms of MMA, not, you know, his defense, you know, his takedown defense is pretty decent, but once he gets on the ground, he doesn't really do much technical stand-up sort of stuff. I just think it's going to be more of the same. I don't know. That's not my official prediction. I'll give it to you at the end of the week. Mar the Prince. Word is Khalil Ko is out. Yeah, I heard Khalil Ko is injured as well. That's not good news. You know, guys, we wanted to see Khalil Ko fight. We wanted to see him be more active. Even for Jesse Hart. This was an opportunity for Jesse Hart to get a nice little feature fight. We last saw Khalil Ko looking really good in Mexico, getting his get back. And we know that he's battled injuries in the past. Hopefully this doesn't become sort of a narrative throughout his career. If you know, it wasn't too long ago, boys, where people were talking about the narrative around Virgil Ortiz's career was injury prone. You know what I'm saying? We knew that he was, you know, Virgil had his health struggles with rhabdo and weight cutting and complications that come from that. And then Virgil, knock on wood, has been able to, you know, stay healthy since his move to 154. And we're excited to see him back as well. That fight's coming up, Erickson Lubin. I cannot wait to break that fight down. There's some good fights coming up. And like always, we're going to find our victories. Like I said, my most proud victory this week was Anthony Cuba, my upset of the week. So that's 2 weeks in a row we hit our upset of the week. 235. By the time fight night happened, 175. I got to start giving you. You know what I have to start doing is this is my ego real quick. So I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday, and I was telling her, and this is my. I was like, you know, I was talking to her. I was like, something I'm struggling with is that I'm noticing certain people will clout chase based off of. I don't even know how to say this. You know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm going to change the subject. It shouldn't have bothered me. But my point is, you guys know if you're researching, doing your own research, if you're following the leads, if you know, you're listening to the show, if you trust in, you know, whatever words I'm telling you about whatever fighters and it comes true, you know that you know that's kind of, I'll just leave it at that. A couple things happened this weekend from the betting perspective that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, related to my channel, related to our Discord. And it was kind of like, bro, you know, like, why are you trying to clout chase? I guess growing up, I really don't, the whole clout chasing thing, when people try to project themselves in a certain reflection, basically, when I was coming up, we would call it fronting. You know, why is this dude fronting? Why is he fronting like he's the dude that did this thing? Or anyway, I got to check my own ego. Bit of a rant. I'm watching the Cowboys just scored. Dak Prescott. I got the Cowboys game on here. Adu, what's up? Did you cash in on the? Yeah, I hit big, Adu. And my two biggest bets I hit, I didn't share with anybody because I've been sick, but I hit huge on the UFC, 14 to 1, 1,000 to make 14, which is crazy, and then NRL, I hit big on Brisbane plus 230. So I went heavy on Brisbane to beat Penrith because I never talk about it, but I'm an NRL guy. I've been watching NRL since 2013, and I just felt like this version of Penrith was slower. I just feel like the game being in Brisbane and watching Penrith jump out to a 14-0 lead, and then watching Brisbane score 16 straight, especially how they scored it, especially at the end when they allowed Old Mate to kick the ball instead of Reese. It was a good game. So I won a lot of money on the NRL. I won a lot of money on Dana White Contender Series. I won the most money on the UFC, and I hit huge with Anthony Cuba on the money line. Mar, 360 Promotions has a solid card Friday. Yeah, Mar, I actually was looking at the Zambekov versus Sandoval card. It is a good card. The question is, Mar, it's tough. Are we going to get options? It's tough for me to put too much emphasis in film study and breakdown if I'm giving you guys a prediction on a fight and we're not getting opportunities to play it. So we'll see if we get options. It's still early. Money Meach, Jay Voorhees. Guys, when you come to the chat, could you give me a thumbs up? I'm going to be way more active this week. I'm going to be doing 2 lives once again every single day. You're going to be getting the Stats Zone live video. I'm still trying to recover. I've had food poisoning since Thursday. I probably lost like freaking 3 or 4 kilos. So yeah. It's tough for me if we're not getting the odds to put a bow on the chat more. I have to wait to see if we get odds on the fight for me to do the breakdown video. But I do like the card. I was looking at it. Jay Voorhees, learned his lesson losing that fight when he was sick. Everybody thought it was... Yeah, Jay Voorhees, man, I learned too. I picked against him. He was right too. He said he was sick, and he looked absolutely amazing in the comeback fight. So I wanted to see Jesse Hart. I wanted to see how he was going to handle that sort of problem. Adu, do you think the odds will shift for Conway and Littard? Who do you like in this fight? I'm back in Conway. Give me 1 second. Are you getting odds on that? Conway Littard. Damn, that's it. I love a little venue I always wanted to see a fight at was in Bethnal Green at York Hall in London. That's where this card's at. Friday. Oh, that's in 3 weeks, mate. We'll talk about that in 3 weeks. We got, you know what I'm saying, Adu? We'll talk about that in 3 weeks. Also looking at the upcoming Fundora Thurman fight, and I really do think Thurman got a shot in this one. UMG, man, this is going to be one of those. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. UMG. So Thurman's going to be able to get past that jab. Thurman's going to use his athleticism. We just have to ask the question, what has Keith always relied on to make him great and special? Reflexes, skills, speed, his sort of unique, unorthodox approach to the game. Reflexes, speed. But then again, mate, every time I think I know a little bit about the sport, I'm humbled by watching a fight like Bud Crawford and Canelo. So, you know what, dude? I don't know. What do I know? You know what I mean? Maybe Thurman can go in there and upset the odds. And we were looking at the odds makers. We were looking at the odds last week. Thurman's a huge underdog. It's almost like, Jesus, you give me Keith Thurman at plus 430, man, and Seb's at $1.22. It's like, yeah, but once again, I don't bet on odds. I'm going to have to do some tape. How much do we take from the Brock Jarvis knockout, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's kind of... Don't you think it's a bit irresponsible to say that Seb Fundora isn't trending here? You know what I mean? Like, Seb Fundora is in his prime. So it's hard for me to see how a guy like Keith, 37, 38, Keith isn't trending here. We've seen Keith's best days. So with that in mind as well, when you're thinking about what's the chances of us seeing the best version of Seb and then us seeing the best version of Keith. I think the chances are going to be more on the side of us seeing a version of Seb that we've never seen before. Mar the Prince. There's a Japanese card Saturday that features Shikishi Iwata versus Edwin Kano, but not sure the books will offer it. There's a lot of boxing this week. M, thoughts on Moreno Valley? Oh, M. Yeah, mate. M, my thoughts on that, mate, is I apologize. You know what I'm saying? You guys asked me for a long parlay on the spot. We did the parlay together on that live stream. And I thought Valley's loss was a little bit more her opponent. That Italian girl was awful. She didn't even, I mean, she just smothered her work. That was, I mean, the judging was terrible. I thought you could have gave it to Valle. She was a more, you know, put together boxer. And I watched a little bit of the highlights of Moreno. It was a good fight. You know what I mean? But I told you guys with the long parlay, I didn't do much film study. I watched each fighter fight before. I told you, when you're putting all these money line picks on one ticket, don't bet heavy. You know, the people who make the most money in this game when we're talking about betting are the ones who pick one or two outcomes and then bet heavy on that. So this is where I'm getting better at and where I'm becoming a better educator, telling you guys. The heaviest bet I did was the house on Anthony Cuba at plus 235, and it hit. You know, the house, literally. Speaking of GBP in Dallas, I've been going crazy NFL. I hit a 13.15 out of my fresh BX. You up then, baby? You up? You up? Good work. Marcus Brown returning after 2-year layoff. Anyone see him upsetting Glenn? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't see him beating Glanton. Maybe I'm too high on Glanton. I like Brandon Glanton. You know, and going into the Chris Billum-Smith fight, we broke that fight down. We got Glanton at plus 230. So I was like, dude, you give me plus money on Brandon Glanton? I didn't expect CBS to look that good. You got to admit, Chris Billum-Smith fought his ass off. And I don't think Brandon Glanton expected CBS to be that tough. The thing you got to admire about Brandon is his offensive game. You know, that style, especially with the big boys. He's a big dude, man. He can fight at heavyweight. You know, get on that front foot, chin down. He's a bit one-dimensional, throws bombs. Exciting style. I don't know. How's Marcus Brown going to deal with that? They moved Moreno too quickly. He might be ruined already. Wars definitely taking out of you, Julius. What's up, buddy? Yeah, you know that. There were some fun exchanges in that fight, though. Moreno, and hats off to the kid from the DR, man. We looked at his record. We did a little bit of we talked about Julius on the live stream Saturday. We spent like 10 minutes on the fight. It wasn't, and we said, I mean, this kid, good record, tall. He's probably going to be the physically bigger dude. And, you know, you take all that in consideration. I thought it should have been a 50-50 fight on paper. And, yeah. What did you guys think of how the fight ended? I mean, that kind of looked like a knockdown. I know it's a moot point. You know, Moreno was swinging for the fences. And Moreno's on his front foot and throws everything into this hook. And when he throws everything into this hook, right before he throws the hook, he got caught with just a jab. He just got caught with the jab, and then the jab hits him in mid-hook, and then he falls. I mean, I know it's a moot point because he lost anyway, but I was like, and Paulie was getting super defensive. Did you guys watch that fight, Julius? Were you listening to Paulie? I'm a Paulie guy. I like Paulie. But Paulie was getting, I felt like he was getting defensive when, you know, the opposing team's corner was campaigning for it to be a 10-8. What's up, King? Never second guess the go. I was on this BS this weekend with the Gallagher and McComb fight. Withdrew my money. It's all right, King. You the beast. Julius Fandora, 6 years, making 154 for 8 years. That weight cut can't last forever. Huh. Not a bad point. But Julius, what is Seb walking around at? You know what, Julius? You know why this is a fun chat to have, though? Because Julius is standing on the side that Seb Fandora is a weight, you know, you didn't call him a weight bully, but I've heard people in other chats call Seb Fandora a weight bully because he's tall. But certain tall guys don't cut weight. It looks Seb Fandora looks like the body type to me that he probably struggles to keep weight on. So he doesn't look like a guy who cuts a lot of weight. So I don't know. I don't know what he walks around at though. I could be wrong with that. That's what I'm talking. I don't know. Thurman gets away from him. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know how Thurman gets away from same. King. I miss the days of UMG. It's crazy. Game battle shut down too. Johnny says, how's it going, Johnny? What's next for Crawford? Do you think Boots eventually fights Crawford? I don't think so, King. This is my point, man. Like, I was getting in. I've gone back. Great question, King Fix. I've been going back and forth on my Instagram. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, you get a hold of me. Say, hey, Johnny, I'm from your YouTube channel. I'll follow you back. It's just my name, Johnny Stofko. And so I think Crawford's best decision, we know what Crawford talks about, legacy all the time, right? He already has legacy with 3-time undisputed, 40, 47, 68. Only male fighter to ever do that. So risk versus reward, what else could we find, right? We're looking for other areas for his legacy. Okay, world champion at 135, 40, 47, 54, and now 68. So he is a 5-division world champion, right? Now, you know there's only one 6-division world champion, Oscar De La Hoya. There's never been a fighter to be a 7-division world champion, and there's only one 8-division world champion, Manny Pacquiao. That being said, I think Crawford should fight a champion at 160, not named Janibek Elmhanaleh, not named Carlos Adames. I think Crawford should fight Erislandy Lara at 160 for an opportunity to become a 6-division world champion. Risk versus reward. I'm not saying he couldn't beat Elmhanaleh. I'm not saying he couldn't beat Lara. But from a business legacy perspective, if I were Bud's handlers, I would have him fight Lara. That's just that's just the way I look at it. Neil Magny won't go. I did hit on Neil Magny. The Prince. Neil Magny, 137 years old. You ain't never meet no Martin Luther the King. Boots and Xander both beat Fundora. You think Boots and Xander both beat? I mean, maybe. Dude, maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. Having a guy who's a 6'6" sniper, dude. How do you? How you can't? I mean, that in itself, Seb Fundora's physicality is an X factor in all of its own. Julius, yeah, I thought the same about Moreno. That tough fight was too early for him. Chris the Prophet, salute Johnny. Who you got winning between Norman Jr. and Devin? Guys, I'm sold on Norman Jr. I'm sold on Brian Norman Jr. I'll do my breakdown on it. I'm a Devin Haney, props to Devin Haney for taking this fight. I'm sold on Norman Jr. I'll tell you why when I do the breakdown. Skeezy in the house, Perth. Raul Garcia, Christian Chacon pulled off the upset. I took the over. Good pick. Chacon beat him. I got Collins knockout. Julius, I love that. You know we're big fans of Nathaniel Collins on this page. Julius, were you on board with us when we picked Collins to beat Lee McGregor? Because not many people were. Collins got, I think Nathaniel Collins has a little bit of that shine to him. You know what I'm saying? Like every now and then you get like an undefeated fighter from like, Scotland. He's an undefeated Scottish fighter, Scotland. And I think he has that little thing to him that maybe he can operate and maneuver into like a world level guy. I like his game, dude. I like, the thing about Nathaniel Collins, I like his timing. Not every boxer has to be a knockout artist, and not every, not every fighter. There's certain fighters who have things. I guess how to put this is I can list off world champions right now who don't have good timing, meaning that they don't operate looking for counters. They don't operate, trying to punch with their opponent and then, using their movement and time. Nathaniel Collins has that. We saw it against McGregor. Watch his tape. There's a lot about Nathaniel Collins I like. Fresh BX says he walks around close to that weight. It looks the case. Fundora doesn't look like he cuts a lot. King Fitness with the super chat. Thanks, big fella. The super chats make my world go round. We're on the right track, King Fitness. I appreciate you. You're also a Johnny Says VIP, mate. Thank you for supporting me. Will Bowen in the house. I took Collins knockout to a smoke. Nice. Will, are you getting options for the knockout already, boys? Because Julius called the knockout too. Maybe this is our early is this our prop of the week then, boys? We can put it in the I'll put it in the Discord. I just don't want to disrespect his opponent. His opponent, I think, is 21-0, right? I want to do some film study. I got to see what we're dealing with, and then I'll let you know. Adu, TJ gave everyone the Chacon upset tip. Nice. TJ's an animal. So TJ and I talk all the time. We talk on the daily. TJ, J-Rock, what it do? Caught alive. My guy, TJ. I've been sick, brother. You know, I haven't been able to pop into the Discord for 2 days. I got food poisoning Thursday night. And I thought I was fine, and then I wasn't. So I'm at about 70% right now. TJ dropping the Chacon upset, beast. See, this is why you got to go to the Discord, man. You get little bets like that. Johnny, do you think Foster Fulton is a real 50-50 fighter, leaning more? I'm leaning towards Foster. I don't think Oshaki gets the love he deserves, man. I think Oshaki Foster's a really, 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 really good operator in there. No shade on Fulton. Who is your top 5 favorite boxers of all time? King Fitness, that's a big question, big dog. Of all time? Jesus. If you ask me that question every day for the next 365 days, I'll probably give you a different list, depending on what mood I'm in. Top fave of all time. I got to always start with Homicide Hank Armstrong. This guy, you know, do your research, watch tape. He comes from the golden era. Homicide, Hank Armstrong, Henry Armstrong is in my top 5. Obviously, Muhammad Ali is in my top 5. My favorite boxers of all time, I got to put my boy Kelly Pavlik in my top 5, just because we grew up together. And then, dude, it's so tough. It's so tough. You know, I was a big Ray Leonard fan. I mean, I'm a big Chico Corrales fan. I was a big Arturo Gatti fan. James Toney was. It's just so hard, man. It's a tough question. I've been watching boxing my entire. Ray Booba Mancini. You know, the first fight I can remember watching, it was 1987. I think he was fighting. I was 5 or 6. It was either the Bramble fight, which was Livingston Bramble. I think the first fight. I think I might have been 5 or 6. So Ray Booba, Andy's from Youngstown. So it's a tough question. Damn, the chat's popping up. Finally, the chat's heating up. Collins is a showcase fight. The Spaniard ain't nothing special. TJ Marr heard the same co is out. I'm just catching up with the chat, boys. Bomac said Crawford got 3 more fights left. Hats off to Bomac. Do you guys see what happened with Bud? Bud got pulled over at gunpoint by the cops in Omaha after his parade. I put it on my Instagram. Glant, Marcus Brown in Africa. Interesting fight. JP Farley in the house. I'm going to do my breakdown. I'm a Brandon Glanton fan, so I got to make sure I do my due diligence for Marcus Brown. TJ, Wilbo, what up, man? Yep. King Picks. Am I crazy for thinking Ankalaev beats Pereira? No. I think Ankalaev beats Pereira. I don't think you're crazy. I think a guy... Let's wait till the end of the week to get the MMA, though. Okay, King? I could get disorganized. Julius, Norman ain't stopping Haney. Haney will run and hold all night. Have the odds dropped? Who's the favorite in that fight? Win Santiago with the super chat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the super chat. Win. Always a pleasure having you in the crib. You're a beast. Hopefully you're tuning in and you're learning and we're all eating together. Ali Penfold, Garcia got an upset against Moreno. Great fight. That was a great fight, mate, Ali. He did. The DR. From the DR. I love that call last night when they were reading the scorecards out. Christopher the Prophet. I think it's safe to say that Tank is just scared to fight Shakur or any of the other top guys around 35 and 40. Tank seems to lack confidence. Christopher the Prophet, man, you know, you don't have to hang around my channel to learn. I've never been a Gervonta Davis fan, right? But you can't call me a hater. I always think where Tank's shortcomings have been is the lack of leadership around him. The lack of accountability around him. We know Calvin. We know the story with him and Calvin, Coach Calvin. But it just seems like boxing is such an individual sport filled with highs and lows. You need a strong anchor. You need a team. You need people. You need something, some sort of presence around you that could keep you accountable, that could hold you down, that could keep you positive, that could stay here. Yeah, it's a psychological thing with Tank. I don't know. I don't think No way. This kid, he'd gone through too much as a young kid to be afraid to fight anyone. I don't think it's that. I think Tank, his shortcomings will come down to like internal drivers, motivators. The kid, he really rough upbringing. We all have our own story. I don't know. I would take Shakur in that fight though. The G-Man, Mike Tyson. Yes, Riddick Bowe, Errol Spence. Nice, man. That's your own personal list. King of Fitness. I respect your list, man. I like that you got EJ in there. For sure. And Wilder, actually. Young Money, how much did you win this one? I won good, man. Young Money. It's not about the money, Young Money. I'm more excited when you guys win, believe it or not. You know what I mean? I don't care about It's not about the money for me, bro. It's about the love of the game. It's about the minutia of the sport. It's like I said at the beginning of the stream, it's about looking at the upcoming schedule, then looking what Vegas has the odds and be like, dude, they got it wrong here. I'm going to spread the word. I'm going to tell the boys they got it wrong and we're going to eat. That's what it's about. So they got it wrong with Cuba. October 11th, stupidly set. Yeah, man, TJ, there's a lot of nice little cards coming up. Where's the best place to eat in Youngstown? I left Youngstown, Ohio in 2004. So I left Youngstown in 2004. I was 22. I go back every year. I'm kind of I'm a loyalist, so the Avalon. If you guys, the OG Avalon was on Belmont Avenue, but then they reopened a second Avalon in downtown Youngstown. Avalon's off the hook. The MVR Club is my favorite. So the MVR Club is another Italian joint in a little neighborhood on the north side called Smoky Hollow. So the MVR Club is up there. And then there used to be a really good barbecue rib place called Cece's that I don't know if it's open anymore. My bad. Staples. Staples Barbecue. It was on the east side, right by the prison. That was my other favorite if you wanted to get barbecue chicken and barbecue ribs. The crazy thing about living in Australia is they call barbecue any meat that you put on the grill. So when I first moved here, they're like, you want to have a barbecue? I'm like, hell yeah. What sauce you using? Let's make the sauce. They're like, what are you talking about? So if you throw anything on the grill, they call that barbecue. Where we come from, barbecue is ribs, chicken, that sort of thing. So there was a place called Staples in Youngstown on the east side. Not sure if it's open anymore. Collins knockout is 240. Let's go. Will. What chance? Arslan Beck versus Allen. TJ, you on? Kid, TJ, let's do a live stream. I'll message you. We should do a live stream this week. Kid Austin's opponent, Jojo Diaz, shouldn't be sanctioned. I know. I got into it online on Instagram. I was getting attacked on Instagram for saying what TJ just said. They're promoting, Floyd and Jojo a lot, but I'm like, I just stated facts. I'm like, Jojo has lost. I don't know. That fight should not be taking place. Kid Austin just wants a vet. I get that. Skeezy, we know. Probably favor Mac, but don't trust him. Yeah. Yeah, profited, Young Money. We up. The channel's been. I've been profitable. I mean, the receipts are there. But we're good, man. We're eating. Recency bias. Momentum is a real thing. My issue with Kid Austin fighting JoJo. Kid's 22. Abdullah Mason's 21. Abdullah Mason is fighting for a world title against Sam Noakes. I don't know why nobody's talking about this fight. He's fighting for a real world title as a 21-year-old against Sam Noakes, a really, really tough fighter. Kid Austin already got the veteran on his name, mate. He already beat Farmer, and he beat him in electric fashion. Kid Austin went in there and went viral. He got a viral moment. Why not double that down with, like, a risk? I mean, like, a real risk. Somebody that is, like, not named Jojo Diaz. And from a Jojo Diaz fan perspective, we saw him, we just saw him against Regis. People are excited because he seems disciplined, but mate, he's lost what, 7 out of 9? It's not a good. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't like that matchmaking. Facts, I agree. To answer your question about Norman Haney fight, Norman is actually the favorite, surprisingly. You think? You said surprisingly. I mean, Devin's never fought at 47. Brian Norman Jr. is a world champion at 47. You know, what have you done for me lately? How's Devin looked in his last 3 fights? You know, we just saw him against Ramirez. We just saw him against Ryan. And then was it George before that? Norman Jr. goes against, you know, fights Santillan as the underdog, beats Santillan. When Santillan went as the underdog against Rocha. So, you know, he skipped the line there, and then he fights Jin Sasaki in Japan. Knocks him out, goes viral. In between that, was it Derek Cuevas? Yeah, I don't know, man. I like Brian Norman Jr. in this fight. I don't know why. I don't really need to see more of Brian Norman Jr. to watch his trajectory of where he's going. Watching, like, you know, his aggression, his speed, his footwork. If anything, it would be the guy who beats Brian Norman Jr. to me is going to be a guy who makes him pay with his sort of like how Brian Jr. sometimes likes to get into a firefight. So somebody with big power. I don't see Devin Haney outbox like winning a fight for 12 rounds because he outboxed Brian Norman Jr. I think Brian Norman Jr. is going to eventually wear him down. I wouldn't be shocked if Brian Norman Jr. stops him. I don't think that that's too shocking. Pizza spot, focaccia crust. I love focaccia bread, mate. What are we doing? Fresh BX. Is Lynn fighting again? Lynn Sandstrom's fighting again? Where at? Why do they keep... What did they do? Lynn's not even a boxer. Johnny, he's fighting for the interim after this fight. It's stay busy. I get it. No, I get it. I get it. But, I mean, momentum is a thing, guys. Kid should be fighting Lucas Body. Yeah, we just saw Body. People weren't impressed with Body either in his last fight. Dude, we got some harsh critics in boxing, don't we? Don't we, dude? Boxing fans, boy. This is why, like, a real boxing fan, somebody like us, you're not going to be able to lie to. You know what I mean? Like, boxing fans really, you can't get too political with a boxing fan either because a true boxing fan will call you out on your bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, a real boxing fan isn't a casual. A real boxing fan will be able to pick up on casual narratives and call you out on it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's probably one of my favorite things of the chat. But, yeah, man. Yeah. Mason beats Schofield. I'd love to see that fight. TJ says Chisora wins at least. Jojo just a punching bag. Yeah. Chisora, I mean, Chisora is also, what, 58 years old? Jojo's only 31, I think. I'm pretty sure Jojo's way younger than people think. How old is Jojo Diaz? 32? Derek Chisora is 59 years old. Mason beats Schofield. Oh, I'd love to see that fight. I picked Chisora to beat Joyce and Wallen. Both. TJ, you're an animal, though, mate. Santillan was a really good fight for Norman. People don't give... I know. They don't. It's weird how I think the American boxing fandom is so reluctant to accept a new sort of guy on the scene in a division. I've seen a lot of pushback with Brian Norman Jr. Even after the Santillan fight, even going into the Jin Sasaki fight. I wasn't one of them. I wanted it. Watch my breakdown of the Sasaki versus. Watch my breakdown of Derek Cuevas versus Brian Norman Jr. Guys, Derek Cuevas was supposed to be the big puncher in that fight. Derek Cuevas was the guy that I'm pretty sure had never been stopped. Derek Cuevas was the guy all the Philly guys were saying was the hardest puncher they had sparred. And in my breakdown of that fight, you know, Cuevas stunned Norman in the first round, I think, at the end of the first. And in the breakdown leading up, I said the one thing I want to see from Norman do, he's still young, is kind of lock his defense up when he's punching. Not sort of punching with his opponent like here, but that sort of thing. And he kind of did that a little bit better in Cuevas. He still got clipped slightly and then he stopped Cuevas. And then against Sasaki, I said the same thing. I was like, Sasaki is a one, you know, he's going to be on his front foot, no head movement, good record. Sasaki at the time had only lost to Andy Hiroka, which is a great loss, but that loss was at 140. And I was like, this dude is tailor-made for Norman to stop him. Norman's hand speed and his power is going to be on full display, and Sasaki's pride is going to be the downfall. And it's exactly what we saw. I'm not standing on a throne saying that I know something more than you guys, but still, once again, Norman didn't get his credit. I still don't think Norman, you know, people still sleep on him. I like Norman's adjustments we've watched him make. I really like his speed, man. More important, like people are gonna fall in love with his power. I like the speed you see. So if you guys have action, it is what? Dallas is winning now. When did this happen? I went live and Dallas was losing. What's the score? It was 13-2 when I started this live stream. Now it's 16-13. Insane. Cowboy all fighting a 40-year-old Nelson Heisa. Jorge De Jesus lousy, as I expected. Cowboy all Parker ain't fight each other. What do you guys think of Joe Parker fighting Fabio? Boots versus Lima. I'm going to take the over. Julius, do you think people are sleeping on Lima? Cowboy all fighting whoever that is. Voorhees, Norman beats Boots if it... Norman beats Boots if it happens. You got to realize, man, Norman isn't a big 147, by the way. Brian Norman Jr. is not a big dude. He's not like a genetically gifted guy. You know what I'm saying? So when you watch Brian Norman Jr. do his... I don't see Brian Norman Jr. I mean, he might go up to 54, but he's going to be undersized at 54, dude. Boots is a massive... Boots will be big at 54, which shows you how much he was cutting at 47. So just... No, I think Boots would have his way with Norman Jr. I got to be honest with you. I think what would really bother Norman Jr. with Boots is Boots' athleticism. Boots is unorthodox. Boots can punch with both hands. Boots just is more versatile. Bigger. Yeah, I'm a fan of both guys. As you know, I'm a big Brian Norman Jr. fan. He's one of my favorite fighters right now. Equally as big of his fan as Jaron Ennis. I don't see Norman beating Jaron Ennis, mate. Caballero should be facing Joe Parker. Yeah, Joe Parker taking on Fabio, in my opinion, is an awful fight for him. I don't like that fight for Joe Parker, man. Boots thinks he's the most athletic fighter ever, but he moves up. I think, Julius, that I'm not going to agree or disagree with your statement, considering Boots' outlook on his abilities, but I am going to agree with you on the fact that it is a division upwards, and we talked about it last week on our live stream. Statistically speaking, you know, fighters who move up to a weight class for the first time, even if they were big punchers, you don't really see a lot of stoppages. Just think about David Benavidez, David Morrell, when they moved from 68 to 74 in recent memory. You don't see, it's just not a thing you'd see. So Lima has some craft to him too. Maybe Boots by decision. I was a fan of Sasaki. That knockout, that was a brutal knockout. I was a fan of, it's tough not to be a fan of these Japanese punchers. You know what I mean? The modern Japanese boxer literally epitomizes what the samurai was all about. Or even the kamikaze pilots. You know, let's go out on our sword. And the crowd loves them for it. You know what I mean? You can't do that. The last thing you ever want to be in boxing is known as a brave fighter who could take a punch. You know what I mean? Because usually when you're sort of kind of shrunken down to that, he could take a punch, or he's a brave guy. It usually means you've been stopped a lot, you've been knocked out before. So, and it's why I thought Sasaki's own bravery was going to be his downfall against Brian, because for however tough and brave you think you are, this is boxing. There's going to be somebody who's braver and tougher than you, so you have to have a plan B. Think about Tim Tszyu versus Murtazayev. This is my biggest beef with the Tszyu. The audacity, the ignorance, the recklessness of Tim Tszyu going into Murtazayev in the second round with the same exact game plan, it was unfathomable to not see him use the ring. It was unfathomable not to try to fight him at range. It was unfathomable not to see Tim recover a bit. So bravery in boxing usually gets you stopped. Yeah, I did. I know. I know. Jay Voorhees. I know, mate. What do I know, mate? I can't get them all right, bro. And this is coming from a guy, Voorhees, who's a Bud fan. I know. Salty. Norman Sr. has done a hell of a he did a hell of a job lying for him. Norman Sr. has done a hell of a job lying for him. What do you mean? I like Boots, but he relies too much on athleticism. Johnny, the fight to go the decision is +300. I like it, Chris. That would probably be my pick right now. I would take I would like Boots by decision. Julius, Jin Sasaki has done it world level. Yeah, was he ever? You know, Julius, was he? Is he done at world level? I don't know, man. How does Sasaki fare against Raleigh? How does Sasaki fare against Lewis Crocker? How does Sasaki fare against Mario Barrios? Not that bad, dude. All right, we just saw Stanionis win every round against Mackenzie, Jabulani Mackenzie. Stanionis fought in Lithuania. If people didn't know, Lithuania was popping. I shared it on my Instagram. That place, it was an arena. I think 20,000 people showed up for a Stanionis is a star in Lithuania, mate. He came out, didn't take a lot of risks, and he did what he had to do. Pretty much won every moment of every round against Mackenzie. Now, you put, probably going into the weekend, Stanionis is probably going to be in the top 15 again in BoxRec's weird algorithm. Of the champions at 147, do you guys think Raleigh beats Stanionis? Do you think Mario Barrios beats Stanionis? Do you think Lewis Crocker beats Stanionis? My point is, 147, I mean, to say Jin Sasaki is done on the world level, I don't know. 147 really isn't filled. It's not the thickest, it's not the heaviest, the most stacked of divisions. I mean, I'd love to see Sasaki versus Raleigh, stylistically. I'd like to see Sasaki versus Ryan Garcia. That's a fight we'll probably never see that fight. If I had the powers that be, I would make Ryan Garcia, who's coming off a loss, fight Jin Sasaki. And then we'll see what time it really is. But, you know, would that ever happen? I don't know. Devin looks big. Yeah, he does, doesn't he? But I think Norman will be the stronger and powerful guy. I think it's Norman's speed, his feet, or what. Watch Norman's tape on how he uses his feet, and here too, guys. Don't ever undervalue here. The difference sometimes at the world level is that split second of a fighter second guessing themselves versus a fighter not having doubt. That has to come into kind of play when you're thinking about putting your money on a guy. I don't hate anyone unless they're from my city. You don't like Brian Norman Jr.? I don't hate anyone unless they're from my city, unless it's Brian Norman Jr. I'm confused on that. You're from Atlanta, right? ATL. You ain't see that lion Norman Sr. was doing on Boots and leather. Oh, that's what you mean. The contract stuff. Yeah. That's what you mean. Well, yeah. But then again, guys. Horse collar. Speaking of Stanionis, he officially can't punch to me. Yeah. He's short on everything, isn't he? Stanionis, he's short. He's like he's technical, but he's short on everything. He doesn't. Good body puncher. I like his body work though. I think he should do more of it. Skeezy, man, I kept forgetting about Barrios. I got Karen over. People sleep on Chukachin. Fresh? Good point. Nobody, dude, Karen Chukachin's a very, very, very tough out for anybody. No one's calling that guy, and he was not going to get a big fight, which sucks. I want to see, yeah. I do want to see, though, Sasaki versus Garcia, just for the sake of styles. We need Rohan Polanco, Giasov. We just saw Giasov. We featured Giasov Kastner on our channel in his last fight. And I don't know, did he impress you? Were you impressed by Giasov's last performance? Armando Martinez Robbie versus Taiga Manga is a good fight on the Samurai Series card. Robbie is coached by Polanco's coach. Coach Bermudez, right? Doesn't Coach Bermudez coach Polanco, who's in our Discord, Mar? Or no? I'm sure they have multiple coaches. Julius, Karen Chukachin, Dark. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And it's kind of a testament, though, to how good Boots is. You know what I mean? Beats him twice. and a guy that we're literally sitting here saying that a guy that Boots beat twice is a dark horse in that same division after Boots leaves. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I should have bet against Jorge. That's what he got for taking Maya from me. Fuck him. Toxic gameplay. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I got, it's 12:30 my time. I'm going to be uploading. I got some uploads to do. Make sure you like this video. Guys, join the Discord. The link's pinned in the comment section below. The super chats, I say thank you to all of us who hit. Let's keep doing it. We got a lot of fights coming up this weekend. All the support goes a long way. I'm going live 2 times tomorrow. We're back on track. I appreciate you boys for supporting me. Let's get this.